Michigan Out of Doors Online is brought to you in part by
Animals have the ability to smell scent half a mile away. But what good is an attractant if the animals have to be close to smell it? Introducing an industry-first vapor system. Vapor lasts longer and travels farther. Wind Scent by Fourth Arrow. Active vapor for deadly success.
Hey everyone, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. I'm Jenny Olson and we've got a great show lined up for you this week. We're going to check out a new take on walleye chowder, a brand new wild game recipe. You won't want to miss that. And speaking of food, we'll stop in and visit with Ron Brimmer. He's a Michigan sportsman who's kind of become well known for what he eats in the tree stand. You won't want to miss that story. And Jimmy and Jordan have been working on some fun stuff for us too this week.
Well, that's right, Jenny. We do have a few more things on this week's show. We're actually going to sit down with the DNR on this week's episode, learn a little bit more about this past deer season and our deer population in general. And then we're going to hit White Lake, which is over on the west side of the state in Muskegon County. I had heard that there was a good perch bite going on there. You won't want to miss that story. Lots of good stuff on this week's show. You stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger. It's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors.
What a beautiful day in the woods.
Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's destination since 1988, featuring varieties of homemade sausage, jerky, brats, and gourmet entrees. Holiday gift boxes can be assembled in-store or online. Details at countrysmokehouse.com. By Showspan, producing consumer shows including Outdoorama March 1st through the 4th at Novi's Suburban Showplace. The show features tackle, trips, boats, outfitters, wildlife encounters, and of course, Big Buck Night. That's Outdoorama and Novi March 1st through the 4th. By AnglerQuest Pontoons, a mid-Michigan company building boats for fishermen by fishermen. AnglerQuest pontoons are designed for comfort and functionality. On the web at anglerquestpontoons.com.
Soaking in the rich tradition of Michigan hunting for over 30 years, Vanguard is proud to sponsor our friends at Michigan Out of Doors TV.
Today I was heading out with Mitch Johnson, owner of Johnson's Great Outdoors in Montague here in Muskegon County. It is hard to get an outdoor shop owner to actually get outdoors sometimes, but Mitch was itching to get out and join his buddies already on the lake.
That's the way you do it. There you go. Right on cue.
Yeah.
You get one? Yeah.
Yeah, he hooked himself.
Ooh.
Nice one.
That's a keeper.
Nice fish.
Oh,
Perfect.
you just walk out here and catch him, just like this guy.
Well, I'm thinking it's about 48 feet.
Oh, okay.
And just got to work them until you get them going.
The perch fishing along the west side of the state has been picking up over the last few years, and Mitch said that has carried right over to ice fishing as well as the soft water.
It's been really good, especially since the perch fishing has been good all fall long. Once the guys could start getting out here, it was really good. Always typically the first part of the season, starting down at Wesley's for bluegills. That's first ice. Everybody's kind of on that. They're excited to get out there, so that starts always really good. And then when the perch fishing starts and the guys can get out there, it's usually really good. Like this last weekend, there was a ton of guys here fishing. We are going to use a Northland buckshot spoon with just we're going to put a single hook on here, a rat finky. I like the buckshot. It's got a little rattle in it, plus it's got a little bit of glow to it. So what's nice about that is you can thump the bottom with it. It stirs the bottom all up. Then you can kind of finesse the fish. The fish have been a little bit on the touchy side right now, so you can finesse them up to it. And I'll show you what the rat finky looks on there in a second here.
The rat finky Mitch was using is a pretty simple setup. He also ties it about 2 inches away from the weight so that it has a little bit better action.
I'm a white spike guy. To be honest with you, if I have one bait to take perch fish with me, it is a spike. When I hook these spikes, I hook them once through the head. And I kind of squish them a little bit to have their innards come out of them a little bit. Just kind of push them right together. Leaves a good smell down there to them.
All right.
Well, let's see what we can do. See how they come up? There he is.
Hey.
We got our first perch of the morning.
There we go.
And a pretty decent one. So,
Nice fish.
yes, it is. They're not monsters, but I'll tell you what, they're good quality fish, and that's what I like for eating size fish too. So,
Well, we're not going to get skunked.
nope, we are not going to get skunked.
Guys were coming and going pretty much all morning and early afternoon. I asked Mitch a little bit more about the setup he was using today.
I like this Marmish bobber a lot. I've been using this bobber for, oh my gosh, for probably, this one there, probably 20 years I've used that bobber. Actually, my dad started using that bobber, and I build a ton of custom ice rods, and I pretty much put that bobber on there. It is, it's sensitive, especially for like bluegill fishing. It won't be that far over like that when you're bluegill fishing with it. I got quite a bit of weight on it right here, but the key is the sensitivity. And also another thing, when you're perch fishing right there, you wanna make sure that you use fire line, because fire line in deep water, it's sensitive, and when the fish bite it, there's no stretch there to it. So
you watching the bobber, or are you waiting for the feel, or a little bit of both?
yeah, I'm kind of doing a little bit of both right there, but they're finicky. They'll hit at it, and then they'll.
Got a little better one?
Yep.
Hey, oh!
Well, that's what we're looking for.
That's a dandy right
Yeah.
there.
That's a nice fish.
What do you figure he is?
10.
12? 10?
Yeah,
10?
I'd say he's probably 10 and a half.
Okay.
That's gonna be my guess. But we take a few of them.
Finding them, just not a lot of big ones.
Right. Yet. Have faith that we'll get some.
Better one?
Yeah, it feels like a little better one. It does. Yep. Decent fish. Not a monster, but it's a decent fish.
That'll work.
Yeah. The eater. Man, they're down there, they're just biting really light. Another small one. Yep. Big ones seem to be few and far between right now.
There we
A
go.
little bit better.
Keeper.
Yeah. A little better fish. Nice quality fish. We're getting a couple
there.
more, a little bit more here.
Sticking at it.
Be patient, Maybe a little turn on here, so there's a lot of fish on the graph. And
Have these fish bite all day?
you know what? Usually, some of the best bite is from like 10 to 2. I find on perch fishing. And then then they'll have a little low, and then maybe a little bit before dark. But most of the best bite I see come from like 10 to 2. So
These are my kind of hours.
yeah, mine too. You don't need to get out there early. The only time you really need to get out there early is if they gotta get a parking spot.
Yeah.
Maybe they will start turning on.
You kind of said that a lot of these, what, like 8 to 10 inches is what
Yep.
you're typically getting out here?
Yep.
Okay.
And that's, for me, that's my favorite size fish. I like that 8 to 10 inch perch. They make a good meal. A lot of them guys like them fish that are 11, 12 inch. I like them 8 to 10 inch perch. I think they're some of the best eaters.
Wow. Look at that. The cameraman even caught one.
Yes, he did. That's a nice fish. Wow.
Getting a little water in the shack here.
Yes, we are. Isn't that a nice fish?
We fished for about 4 hours or so and had enough for a nice perch dinner that night. Lots of good fishing to be had right here in Michigan's Out of Doors.
The archery season, all indications were it was well on par with what we had in 2016, if not a little bit better. And 2016 archery season was, quite frankly, tremendous. We had a lot of success. We had a lot of hunters punching their tag on deer, and some good deer. And the early reports from at least our field offices and our check stations around the state indicate that 2017 season was pretty much on par with that. So we have really high expectations. Once the surveys get distributed and analyzed later in the spring, that the archery season was going to be very successful, one of the better ones we've had in recent years. Firearm season obviously started off a little wet, a little soggy, and that certainly curtailed probably participation some, combined with the fact that you tend to get a Wednesday opener, which generally tends to lead to reduced harvest, usually around the state. We had a slow start, and certainly the early reports from our check stations certainly supported that we were down substantially through at least the first weekend. But as the season has progressed, the weather has turned a little bit, and we're getting some more spotty results from both north and south that we're either slightly behind last year or on par with last year, and in some places we're actually up a little bit, but for the most part it's down somewhat. That being said, we do have our statisticians crunching numbers, and we should be able to formally look at what the true effect was here within another week or two.
One of the hot topics here in Michigan, if you're a deer hunter over the last few years, has been antler point restrictions. So I asked Chad to touch base on what he's seen in the areas with more strict APRs.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear when you incorporate an antler point restriction that has been scientifically proven to protect over 50% of the yearling bucks, that the composition of your yearling buck harvest is going to go down and go down dramatically. So it has very rapidly shifted the harvest rate from 1.5-year-old bucks in the male side to 2.5 or older bucks. And that is very much anticipated when you put a regulation like that in place. I will say that we have been seeing that trend emerge, whether you're inside an APR zone or outside an APR zone throughout the state. So it's not happening as fast, obviously, because you have much tighter restrictions in an APR zone. That being said, there does seem to be sort of a cultural shift occurring with Michigan hunters to sort of hold off and not necessarily take the first buck that you see, which is more than likely going to be a yearling. So we've seen tremendous decreases in our yearling buck harvest over the past 10 to 15 years. I think there's certainly still room for improvement, but I also think that change is occurring.
Last but not least, I asked Chad what he's been hearing about the deer herd in the UP.
You know, with the UP being completely different and having to deal, those deer having to deal with a completely different set of circumstances than many deer have to deal with south of the bridge, we always have slightly different regulations up there. And what we tend to see historically is sort of the deer herd cycling. So you'll have increases in the deer numbers, and that generally tends to follow mild winters, and then when you do get very harsh or severe winters, the overwinter survival tends to decrease, and you tend to see lowered populations. So compared to what you see in southern Michigan or the northern lower part of Michigan, the UP is much more cyclical in nature. And certainly when you have several hard winters occurring like we had in 13 and 14, the deer herd gets knocked down a little bit, and we try to be even more restrictive in our harvest approach, trying to facilitate growth at a faster occurrence, knowing full well that what is really needed is a couple mild winters to boost that overwinter survival. And fortunately, that's what we've been seeing. The past couple winters have been fairly mild, and we have started to see a recovery, and that's starting to show itself in our harvest data. The numbers out of the UP have been incredibly positive. So we are seeing higher harvest rates throughout most of the UP, and that's obviously good for hunters, good for hunting, and even good for the economy up there.
In this next story, we are going to stop in and visit with Ron Brimmer. If you know who Ron Brimmer is, I don't need to explain it. If you don't know who Ron Brimmer is, all I have to say is he's the guy on Facebook with the beard who eats food in the tree stand. Take a look at this. Ron Brimmer Outdoors is a Facebook page where sportsmen and women go for hunting and fishing reports, to see photos of others' successes, and for a lot of laughs. The page administrator and namesake spends almost every day in the outdoors at some point and posts photos of himself eating something different every time he hits the stand or the shanty. The page was started 3 years ago and has over 6,000 followers now, including some of us from the show. I recently sat down with Ron to hear how this whole thing got started.
I like to hunt and fish as much as I can, and I'm self-employed. I'm a builder, so I always carry my hunting stuff with me. It happens to be in my truck when we finished a job here in town, like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I had some leftover lunch. You know, you go hunting or whatever, you always need something to eat or drink. So it was a local place here. It was a sub sandwich I had left over. Threw it in my backpack, headed out to the tree stand, hunted for a little bit, pulled it out and went, man, that's a pretty nice looking sandwich. I'm going to take a photo selfie. So I held it up, took a picture, and Michigan Buckpole was doing their afternoon field reports. And that popped up right about the same time that I went to post a picture on my regular Facebook page. And so I just shared it on there, and it kind of blew up from there. And then Alan, who runs Michigan Buckpole, contacted me and said, hey, let's do some contests. People guess what you're eating, and we'll give away T-shirts. And it just kind of went from there. And then I started getting more and more followers, so I just started my own page, and it kind of took off from there. Yeah, every time I hunt, I try to bring something new. Some people say that I don't even hunt, that I'm just making a prop in my backyard or something, but no, I truly do hunt a lot. I've done blueberry pie with whipped cream on it. This year, opening day of deer season, I cooked eggs and bacon.
In the tree stand.
In the tree stand. I'm sure most people seen it. The one that's actually going viral right now is a tag sandwich I made because I didn't kill a deer this year. Basically 2 slices of bread in my tag. So I don't know, it gets a little difficult sometimes. I've already tried that, I've done this, I've done that. So, like people send me, hey, why don't you do this, why don't you do that? So I take some advice, but usually I just pop in the store and, well, that looks good, so I get it. So I don't really get it for photo reasons sometimes. It's more that's what I want to eat. So it just sometimes works out.
Did you know it was going to have as much reception as it did?
No, I had no idea. I'm just a normal person just like everybody else that likes to hunt and fish, and some reason people find comedy entertaining, and I'm kind of comical. So, the greatest thing about starting the page was anything happens in the outdoor world, I usually know about it before the end of the day, because I get 15, 20 different people that send me messages, and I really enjoy seeing other people's stuff and And there's no negative stuff on my page. I don't allow it. A friend of mine owns a sign and shirt company in town, and he was like, you need your own logo. So he had one of his designers take a bunch of my photos and overlay them and came up with the logo.
So
You didn't-
basically, you're never going to be able to shave your beard off now.
No, my wife and daughter miss my face, but I tell them it's insured now. So
Is it just Michigan people on your page, or do you see stuff from out of state?
no, I actually have Illinois, Texas. I'm sure almost every state now. Stuff gets shared. I give away stuff whenever I can. I try to give away local stuff, so people see it and it gets shared and so on.
Another great thing about Ron Brimmer Outdoors Facebook page is that other folks have started sharing their own food selfies while out in the field. The Ron Brimmer pose is starting to gain popularity among his subscribers. Special thanks to Ron for making the outdoors just a little more fun.
Well, hey everybody, we are here once again at Antlers Fireside Grill, Canadian Lakes, chef extraordinaire Jim Wood. Jim, we got a little, chowder thing we're doing today?
Yeah, we're gonna do a walleye chowder.
Okay, and how do you get started on this? Is this something you guys do here at the restaurant?
We do a lot of different chowders right now. We're doing a smoked chicken and corn chowder. We have a smoked salmon chowder that we always have on the menu. So we're gonna make it in the way that we would make.
What are some good pointers when doing a chowder? What do we got to think through here? To me, it would be like dump everything in the thing and let it sit.
Don't do that.
Okay.
You can't rush it, and you need to season it as you go. So you're layering flavors, as they say. It's kind of a cliche, but so we're gonna start off with a little bit of bacon.
It doesn't look like a little.
Well, we're not gonna add all of it.
Oh.
Well, we're gonna add close to all of it, I guess.
Layering it like that, what does that do for the just better tasting?
Yeah, let's say we're making this chowder, and we didn't flavor it till the end. We didn't salt it, season it till the end. So you're gonna taste the liquid's gonna be seasoned, but you're gonna bite into carrots that don't have any flavor. You're gonna bite into corn that doesn't have any flavor. You're gonna bite into walleye that wasn't salted. So the actual base of it literally won't have any flavor at all. Okay. So.
And then when it comes to what kind of fish to use in a chowder, can you use all the normal stuff that we would catch here in Michigan? I mean, is there any?
Whatever you like. Okay. I mean, really, you're going to want to watch out with some of your super oily fishes.
Okay.
So like, lake trout or something like that, I would recommend smoking it beforehand or cooking it beforehand, because what's going to happen if you add it raw, all that oil is going to get out into your soup, and it might break.
So we're using walleye here, but you could do bluegill, salmon, perch. Okay.
You need a lot of bluegill.
Well, I like to catch a lot of bluegill.
Okay.
I know people that can catch a lot of bluegill.
Next, add butter, then add carrots, onions, and celery, and let everything cook down. Once that's ready, add salt and flour while you whisk, then add in some clam juice.
So how long does the fish have to be in there to actually cook all the way through?
If you've got it, simmering or boiling, a minute tops.
Really?
Yeah. Once you add this amount of fish, if it's cold, by the time it comes up to a simmer, it's done.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna let the clam juice come up. You see it starting to simmer on the side. So now it's time to add our cream. We've got equal amounts of clam juice and cream here.
Heavy cream?
Yes. Nice. Only way to go. All right, so that's starting to come to a simmer.
Okay.
So we're gonna put our walleye into a container. You can just put it anywhere, and we're gonna season it with salt, like I was saying.
Okay. Now, can you overcook this at this point, or no?
Yeah, I mean, you could reduce it too much to where it gets way too thick.
Okay.
And you want to make sure you've got it on a low flame, because you can burn it with all the fat and the flour in it. So we're gonna season our fish here. Add that right to there. And since our potatoes are partially cooked, we're going to add those right now.
Okay.
If they were raw, we would add them as soon as the cream came up to a boil, and we let them cook through before we added the fish.
Wow. That's a fair amount of chowder.
Yeah.
You got a to-go thing around here anywhere?
We do. We happen to have some. I'm probably going to charge you for it. But then we're going to add our corn in there. And you don't have to add corn. I mean, what's great about chowder is chowders were kind of developed to add whatever you want. All right, so we let it come to a simmer.
Okay.
Fish is definitely cooked through at this point.
And the name of this dish?
Michigan walleye chowder.
Thanks for joining us this week for Michigan Out of Doors. Make sure you check us out online next time you get a chance. You can do it a couple of different ways. Our website is michiganoutofdoorstv.com. You can check out all of our recipes there, as well as older episodes, new episodes, all sorts of good stuff on the website and on social media. We're on social media every few days letting you know where we are and where we're headed next. Speaking of where we're headed next, we've got a lot of fun in store for you this winter.
Well, that's right, Jenny. Lots of good stuff coming over the next several weeks here in Michigan Out of Doors, and something that we have not done before. Next month, we're going to be hosting a wild game dinner up there at Antlers Fireside Grill. That's going to be on February the 8th. It's going to be a ton of fun. If you'd like some more information on that and how you can be a part of that dinner, you can check out our Facebook page. Lots of good stuff coming over the next few weeks. If we don't see you in the woods or on the water, hopefully we'll see you right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Greenstone Farm Credit Services, making recreational land ownership possible across Michigan and northeast Wisconsin. Begin your land financing journey at one of Greenstone's 37 locations or visit greenstonefcs.com. By the Michigan Wildlife Council, entrusted with educating the public on how wildlife in Michigan's outdoors are managed and funded for the use and enjoyment of future generations. Learn how Michigan manages wildlife at hereformioutdoors.org. By Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises of Munising, exploring Lake Superior's Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. With its sandstone cliffs, caves, waterfalls, and lighthouses, Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises on the web at picturedrocks.com. Closed captioning provided by Marvo Mineral, makers of Lucky Buck, deer management products including minerals to supplement deer diets year-round to improve health and antler growth.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The white-tailed deer in the tall pine trees. I am a Michigan man.